Hello, everyone, and welcome to Literary Lights 2026, the fourth annual reading series presented by the International Armenian Literary Alliance in partnership with the National Association for Armenian Studies and Research and the Krikor and Clara Zorab Information Center. Thank you all for joining us today from near and far. My name is Shahim Mankarian, and I am the director of the mentorship program at the International Armenian Literary Alliance. I am also deeply humbled to be one of the poets included in today's publication, a collection that is especially dear to my heart. Literary Lights was created to celebrate contemporary Armenian literature in the English language and to bring together writers, translators, readers, scholars, artists, and community members in meaningful conversation. Each event in this series highlights new works by Armenian authors while creating space for dialogue around memory, identity, displacement, creativity, the evolving experience of diaspora, and beyond. Today's showcase centers on Remain in Light, Visions of Homeland and Diaspora, edited by Gassia Armenian and published by the Fowler Museum at UCLA, the event co-sponsor. This powerful collection of poetry and photography endeavors to illuminate the contemporary Armenian experience both in the homeland and in Los Angeles, home to one of the largest Armenian communities in the diaspora. Through image and language, the collection captures the beauty, grief, resilience, longing, and survival that continue to shape Armenian life across generations and borders. At a time when Armenian voices and political struggles are too often overlooked, this collection reminds us of the importance of artistic witness. Remain in Light does more than document experience. It preserves memory, creates connection, and offers light through difficult times. We are deeply grateful to Gassia Armenian for her vision in bringing together such an extraordinary group of poets and photographers for creating a space where Armenian stories can be seen, heard, and remembered. Copies of the book are available through Yala's bookshop.org storefront, the Nasser bookstore, and free digitally through JSTOR. And we encourage everyone to continue engaging with the collection after today's event. It is now my great pleasure to introduce today's editor and featured guest, Gassia Armenian. Gassia is a curator and researcher at the Fowler Museum at UCLA, where she conducts collections research and manages exhibitions. She has curated notable exhibitions on Armenian textiles and diaspora, work recognized by the Armenian Academy of Sciences in 2023, as well as pioneering exhibitions incorporating interactive technology. Her current exhibition focuses on the Ifugao people of Philippines. Prior to her museum work, she collaborated with USAID in Armenia on civics education curricula. Following our conversation with Gassia about the editorial process behind Remain in Light, we'll hear readings from contributors Tina Demirjian, Arthur Gaidzakian, Armine Ignadosian, and Rafi Jovartanyan, and yours truly. Thank you again for being here with us today. Gassia, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Baron Shahe. Thank you all. And I would like to start by saying that I come from the grassroots, and I go to the grassroots at all times, and I return to the grassroots. So when the International Armenian Literary Alliance chose Remain in Light, Visions of Homeland and Diaspora as Literary Light 2026, I felt heard. I felt hugged. And for that, I am deeply grateful. And So I guess, Baron Shahe, you would like me to talk about how this book project came to life.
Yeah. How did it
Um,
start? How was it presented to you,
yeah.
or how did it come to
How
you?
how did it come to me? Well, that's very unusual. Again, it came from the grassroots. It came, well, I don't think you are going to believe me, but if I say that this book started with a needle and thread, what would you say? Well, it started with a needle and thread. It was during COVID when all of us had to work from home, and we couldn't go out, we couldn't be physically present in our limited office environments or storerooms. I was working from home and I said, okay, I have some time and I can research the Fowler Museum at UCLA. That's where I work, and I've been working for over 25 years. I would like to find out if we have any objects or textiles from Armenia or representing Armenian culture or the Armenian diaspora. So I was conducting extensive research in the database. And lo and behold, believe it or not, I came across 14, just 14 needle laces, Janyak, Asernakurt. They were donated by Miss Marie Pilibosyan, a genocide survivor who came to the United States via Izmir, Turkey, in 1923. And it was thanks to the coaxing of Professor Avedis Sanjan, chair of the Armenian Studies Department at UCLA in the 1980s, that she donated the collection to the Fowler Museum at UCLA. Now, the Fowler Museum has over 135,000 objects and textiles in its holdings, mainly from Africa, Southeast Asia, the Americas, Oceania, and the Pacific Rim countries. So the discovery of Armenian needle lace was earth shattering for me, a piece of our own history hiding in plain sight. So, to make this very long story short, I organized and curated the exhibition Janyak, Armenian Art of Knots and Loops. 14 Janyaks, 14 stories, 14 needle laces were presented to the public in a dedicated gallery. So I'm very proud to say that this was a first at the Fowler Museum, and not only at the Fowler Museum, but at any non Armenian museum in the United States. No one has dedicated one entire gallery to this one particular art form that is uniquely Armenian and can be traced to 800 before our common era. I'll tell you that story another day. So I'm very, very proud. I'm very happy. I'm humbled. You know how those laces opened a variety of doors is unbelievable. So the curatorial staff of the museum asked me if I could pair the needle lace exhibition with a photography exhibition. We had a dedicated space for photography exhibitions. And they said, yeah, maybe, you can start a conversation. And that is when I reached out to the magician, the high priestess, and the wordsmith, Ara Oshagan, Sosi Madzunian, and Ara Magardichian. They served as my litmus test for a photography exhibition that would continue Miss Marie Pilibosyan's story of survival and immigration to a new land, and how, from an immigrant status, rebirth would happen, sometimes with thorns, sometimes without thorns. So they believed in my vision. And I think they were as curious as I was as to how this whole thing is going to unfold. And within a week, all three visited the museum, they saw the space, and eventually they submitted hundreds of photographs reflecting themes of homeland, immigration, and rebirth. I said, just send me the pool of photographs you have. I'm going to pick. And I picked 48 photographs based on a narrative that I had in my mind. Now, I really don't know how I had that narrative, but I did. Maybe because I'm the granddaughter of genocide survivors. I don't know. So after I selected the photographs, I put a PowerPoint together and I invited the photographers for this virtual exhibition. And we were all left speechless. We were looking at each, it's happening. Yeah, is it happening? It's happening. And the photography exhibition Remain in Light, Visions of Homeland and Diaspora took place, and it's permanently anchored in this book. Now, there's a part two to this entire story. From needle lace, Janiak, Asernaccord to photographs, all that is fine. But where did the poets make their grand entrance? What happened? Well, again, I was asked for a special public programming because every exhibition that we organize has a series of public programmings, community events, and that's when I contacted you, Baron Shaheh, and you came with a group of 5 fantastic, fabulous poets. I didn't know most of them. I did know some of them. You know, and none of these people are my relatives, by the way. So you came with Tina Demirjian, Armine Iknadosyan, Arthur Gaidzakian, Rafi Jo Vartanian, and his oud, and you, of course. So the event, Poetry Under the Stars, on the terrace of the Fowler Museum, in the style of Lebanese Zajal, under the auspices of Constellation Hike, was born. It was magical. It was one of a kind. I mean, I've heard so many compliments from actually mostly non-Armenians came and attended. Mostly non-Armenians came and viewed the exhibitions and they were stunned. So this is how seeds were planted somewhere in the ether of my mind, and I didn't give up.
And then there's a part three, part four to this, or five,
Oh,
where
oh.
where the book start. Where did the book take shape in this
Yeah,
whole time?
yeah, I know, I know. The book, the night after the Poetry Under the Stars event, okay? Bansha, you wouldn't believe the materials I had already I was already living on a daily basis with the photographs, with the poems. They were all imprinted in my uh, visual memory, if there is such a thing, I don't know. But they were constantly in my mind. And the night after the Poetry Under the Stars event, I already was brewing a new idea. The poems by Tina, Armine, Rafi Jo's oud, Arthur, and you, they were giving a fifth dimension. And one day I will explain what the fifth dimension is. It's beyond three-dimensionality. It's beyond the tangible world. It's beyond the measurement of time in the past, in the present, in the future, north, south, east, west. It's all a core that emerged from the books and the photographs. So there was that fifth dimension. And I had to do something. I couldn't let it go. It was so organic. They wanted me to obey them. I rarely obey anything, but they wanted me to obey, you know, the photographs and the poems, and together they created a powerful force. I had the photographs, I had the poems. I had a powerful narrative of rebirth, regardless of its colors. It was rebirth. How could I let it go? So I don't know. I mentioned that I have worked over 25 years at the Fowler Museum. Maybe this was my mission. Maybe this is why I worked all those years with all the different cultures of the world, which is fine. I love them all very much. And I presented my idea of a book with photographs and poems that have a conversation with the photographs to our director, Dr. Silvia Forni. She said, okay, put a PowerPoint together. Let me see how you're pairing the photographs and the poems. And it took me like this. And I presented her the PowerPoint. And she said, great. This is an out of the box book. Go ahead. Let's find funding. That was the hardest point, hardest part. Because I came to discover and feel on my own self that Armenian philanthropic organizations don't always give grants to out of the box projects. Okay? And I'm very sorry to say that. But in that total darkness of getting no answers from the grants that we submitted, one family, one Armenian family of Los Angeles stood by us, stood by Dr. Silvia Forni, stood by me, and funded this book in full. So, like, okay, we're printing, we're going to have a book, we're excited. And okay, because we had also a budget and we had to conform to that budget. And Dr. Forni and myself, when we were discussing the budget issues on Zoom, and the person with whom we were communicating couldn't see what we were doing, we were going, yes, we can do it. Yeah, let's go. We were cheering each other, and we did it. We did it. I created creating the layout was very, very easy. And thank God I have a fairly large living room floor. I placed the photographs in the order of the exhibition on my living room floor. And then I took the poems and interspersed the poems. I should say that a couple of poems really gave me a hard time. They didn't want to be next to that photo. Like I couldn't. And I had to work as a peacemaker, as a negotiator. And I did negotiate. And okay, let's put you here. Do you like it? And then just one or two poems. You see, I communicate with non-breathing. I think the poems were breathing, the photographs were breathing, and I was in conversation with them, and I did act like a peacemaker within the covers of the book, and then I said, this book has to be printed in the United States. We usually, the Fowler Museum, when I say we send our books to Singapore to be printed. And I said, no, I want to make sure that this book is printed in the United States, in California. And I wanted to do the press checks for the photographs, the amount of ink, etc. And I found one of the best art book, specifically art photography book printers in Southern California. And Baron Shahe, they're in your neighborhood on Walnut Street. Yeah, near your school. And David Mayes and the rest of the crew were absolutely fantastic. And I mean, you have copies of the book, and you see um, how well everything, how normal and how natural everything looks. You know, when everything looks very normal, natural, it means that it has been very well printed and executed. So yeah, and it was when I smelled that ink at the printer in Pasadena, I said, yeah, it is happening. It is happening. Gassia, you can retire. That's it. It is happening. It was like I had to promote the book now. So this is very special for me on many, many levels. I mean, first of all, um, I don't know, getting to work with 8 fantastic human beings, 8 artists whose heartbeat is with our grassroots. Um, you see, should I continue? Should I say why
Well,
this book is
I
very
wanted to
special to
know
me?
from you, Gassia, the most important thing for me is, I mean, you spent so much time making this come to life. Uh, and this is my last question for you before we move to the readers. Looking back, what do you feel this book contributes to Armenian literature and visual culture? And
Yeah.
what do you want readers to take away from it? Um,
Yeah. On a daily basis, my answer to that question is adding layers. So it's not one answer. First of all, this is this the contributions of this book and the influences of this book are evolving on a daily basis. First of all, I am really, really thrilled, happy, in awe, and in extreme gratitude to the Fowler Museum for, at the 62nd anniversary of its existence, listened to this one unique culture that was tucked away in the textile storeroom in one of the drawers. And it's the needle lace, the knots and loops, the language of needle lace that really generated this book. And I'm really glad for that. And this book, the copyright of this book is held, by the way, by the regents of the University of California. Um, so this book belongs to the University of California system with its 9 different branches. The second thing is really sad because the photography exhibition had several photos of Artsakh, churches, weddings. Artsakh was alive, and it was during the run of the exhibition, which was 5 months. And by the way, Janiak was up for 12 months, an unheard of thing at the Fowler Museum. It was repeated and repeated and repeated over and over again because the non-Armenian community was interested in the narrative. Okay, so uh, during the run of the exhibition, September, when was it? 2019, 2021? We lost Artsakh. 120,000 people were instantly deported from Artsakh to wherever, the border of Armenia. And I was in shock. I was like, how am I going to give walkthroughs of this exhibition? What am I going to say? How am I going to say that these churches that are in this book or in the gallery within They, within like overnight, became Azerbaijan. Within weeks, they were destroyed. Okay. And until today, they are still being destroyed. The book holds proof of their existence. I mean, this came afterwards, but when I go through the book now, it is visual, actual proof that they're printed with captions saying Armenian Church. It's right there. So that's, I think, that is beyond me. That is like providence. That is, I cannot explain that, but it is actually, it's a documentary book. Now, the third thing that I realized after when I was smelling the ink at the printer in Pasadena, the most important thing was that, and I believe this with every single fiber of my being, that this book was and is and will be an experiment in unity. Okay, that's very important. With unity, we can achieve whatever we set our minds to. With unity, we can realize everything. When I invited the three photographers and the five poets, I had no idea who was whose friend, who was whose enemy. I didn't care. I didn't want to know. I saw 8 different talents ready to contribute to the same ideas of why we are here, why do we look at Mount Ararat and have tears in our eyes, and why do we make sure that our future generations do not forget our customs and traditions. So 8 artists, and I don't know what I was, but I am much less than you guys, believe me. I do not, you know, I'm one of the blades of grass in the grass fields. Our goal together, our goal was to reach the light, grab it, and spread it. And we did it. And that for me is one of the major contributions of this book. With unity, we stand in power and in light. We're not afraid. We have the light in our hands, in our minds, regardless of where we live, who we're related to, who we are not related to. We have the light in our hands. And yeah, it's still going on. And maybe I have a fourth realization that came to me way after the book was published. A little boy of 8 came to me after the book was published, and he wanted me to autograph his book. And I remember what I wrote. I mean, basically, I haven't written it down, but basically I said, if one day you want to know who the Armenians are, what is their history, and why did they come to Los Angeles, just open this book. Look at the pictures. If you want to read the captions, read the captions. If you want to read the poems, and you will know everything about the Armenians in Los Angeles. And now let's all remain in light and Lustov Manak.
Well, thank you, Gassia. Thank you. That was definitely, um, you gave us a taste of the journey that you're on when to bring this whole project together, bringing photographers, poets together, and the Janyak in the background being our stepmother or our mother looking over us. And it really was a very special experience for me as a writer. So I'm going to segue to give you guys a taste of what kind of poems are in this book. Uh, and I will invite the poets who are in the book to take about 3, 4 minutes sharing with us um, the poems that resonated for them and how they presented to us in the book. The first poet is Tina Demirjian. Tina is a Los Angeles-based poet, educator, and cultural advocate who has taught poetry in schools and performed in museums, libraries, and community spaces for decades. Dedicated to preserving Armenian traditions through art and education, she is the founder and co-director of the Armenian Dress and Textile Project, which has an exhibit timeline of our ancestor currently on view at Litavy Gallery in Glendale. She is the author of the poetry collection Imprint, a finalist for the Arts of Letters Rumi Prize. She has received grants from various foundations. She currently serves on the board of Brand Library and Art Center, where she also co-facilitates artful conversations. Tina Demirjian.
Thank you so much, Shahid. Thank you so much, Gassia and everyone. Like, what a pleasure. And thank you, Yalla. What I heard from Gassia, I just want to say, is the importance of both unity, but even before that is vision, like vision for unity, vision for the book, vision for Yalla. Thank you, Olivia, and all that have contributed to this. So it is an honor to be here and to celebrate all of us and to celebrate where we come from as Armenians. So the first poem I'm going to read is on page 104, and it is entitled Oranges from the Bosphorus. I'm just going to read directly from the book. Oranges from the Bosphorus. She fed me oranges, and my worries went away. On the road from the Bosphorus, I spit the seeds out the window of the small white car speeding down the mountain. At 15, I planted my memory there on the dirt road and found the beginning of where my skin was born, on the hands of all my grandmothers waving to me on that dirt road, shouting their stories in the wind so I can hear their echo even in the speeding car and carry voices in my pocket, eating oranges, laughing and telling jokes in another language, and smiling each time I see an old woman reminding me of all my grandmothers and all their sad eyes staring at me, watching me leave the land where they were born, hoping I take a piece of them with me to remember when I am old. That was an experience, certainly, leaving Istanbul and having visited it for the first time. This other experience is about living in Los Angeles, about the poetics of space, which are very important to me. It is a poem that is on page 86, and it is called Infinity of a Small Space. Light grows scarcer as the afternoon drifts, forms shadows and books tightly fit onto shelves like mumbo-jumbo words in a poem I write. No spaces in between to breathe, so I inhale to learn how to remember, exhale to know how to live in tight quarters. What will take, what will it take to make me stay a while? We root ourselves unknowingly in what is hidden, moments smashed into sentences, traces of memory, nothing is chronological, the drift of light from the sun in the yellow vase, the pink rose blossoming on the quiet table, the infant drinking milk who stops to look up to meet mother's eyes for the first time. How does something mean everything? How do we trace our lives back and forth? How do voices accumulate behind walls? How do we bend our ear to hear a whisper? How do we become someone we weren't before? I couldn't help but also think that we are those knots and loops. You know, we are Jean-Jacques in so many ways. This last poem is on page 91. A line breaks like twilight. Words peel off each sentence as if night is about to fall, and I fit in like a line break, imaginary and incandescent, a trail that leads me into twilight, in between marshlands, before the sun rises, while the wind blows a passageway, a tunnel, a pause, a breath, the time before I knew you, before I knew myself, before I knew our daughter would need to go away in order to be whole, before you and I were a poem uncertain of its ending. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the power that Iyala brings.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much. The next poet is Arthur Gaizakian. Arthur is an award-winning poet and literary advocate whose work has received national recognition. His collection, The Book of Redacted Paintings, won the inaugural Black Lawrence Immigrant Writing Series Award and was a finalist for the Philip Levine Prize for Poetry. He is also the author of My Burning City, winner of the Open Chapbook Competition, recipient of National Endowment of the Arts Creative Writing Fellowship. He serves as poetry chair of the International Armenian Literary Alliance. His poetry has appeared in leading literary journals, including Chicago Review, the Southern Review, and Michigan Quarterly Review. Arthur?
Thank you, Shahed. Thank you, Garcia. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Yala. This project has been amazing. Um, I'm going to read two poems from Remain in Light. Uh, this first one is called The New World. In fourth grade, we played a board game for Thanksgiving. My classmates were thrilled to ration food and clothing, trading skin for spear and rifle. I was not interested in expansion. I was more into Stephanie's hair, how at her scalp it was light, but darkened on the way down, darkened to the color of robe. Her eyes lit up when our wagon moved across the mountains. She was willing to barter away our horses for land. We named our group the Pioneers. On our map, we marked a big red X across a region of grayed out hills. This is where we will live, she said. But I wondered where we would die. Who wants to name our gravesite? I said. When it came to cemeteries, no one answered. And this second poem I'll read is called Exiled Los Angeles. We fled from green oil tanks and the scent of chemicals, from fire bluster and windows rattled by gunfire. We fled to make poems out of cemeteries and write prose out of psalms. Here, our windows are stained with promise. Our prayers are made of glass. From a confiscated garden infested with guards, we fled to an army of daffodils. We fled from Allah burning in the trees, from gutted staircases and swollen buildings sinking to the sand. We fled from the parade of sirens. Here, at night, dogs bark in the junkyard, our hands up against the wall. We have been taught we die without one another. What do we know of love? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you so much. Our next poet, Armene Ignatosyan, is a Beirut-born writer and poet whose family immigrated to California during the Lebanese Civil War, a graduate of UCLA at Antioch University's MFA program in creative writing. She is the author of All That Wasted Fruit. Her work has appeared in numerous literary journals and anthologies, and she has received fellowships from Idlewild Arts, the Los Angeles Writing Project, and Otis College of Arts and Design. Deeply engaged in collaborative and social conscious art, she is also involved in Project 1521, an interdisciplinary initiative inspired by indigenous perspectives and acts of cultural resistance. Armine?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Olivia, for this series, an amazing series to be a part of. Thank you, Shahev, for hosting and introducing Gasia, the mother of this book. I see Gasia as the mother who birthed this amazing child, this amazing baby that we are all raising and enjoying and celebrating. Thank you, Gasia, for that amazing introduction and explanation of such hard work that went into the creation of this beautiful, gorgeous book. You guys need to have this on your shelf. The photographs are impeccable, and I'm so proud and honored to be a part of the poetry that goes along with the stunning photographs. You won't be sorry to purchase this book. You need it. You need a copy of it. I'm going to read two poems. The first one is titled 19. Well, it's part of a chronology of bruises, is what I call it. It'll be in my second book, this chronology of bruises. But just one section of that chronology is what's published in Remain in Light, and it's the 1974 excerpt from the longer poem. 1974. I was born from the mouth of Hecate and Hera, a thin red thread attaching our throats. Each mouth a crack of thunder, a limping childhood, arrested development. My seaside suicide was born 9 months after me, baptized in holy debris and decadence, a country too small to matter, my left heel dipped in mercury and Molotov cocktail, my right heel stained by the juice of 1.5 million pomegranates. And like Shahid said, I was born in Beirut, so that's obviously an homage to my homeland where I was born, and my homeland of Armenia, which is the reference at the end. We come from a lot of tragedy, our people, but we also celebrate and we also love deeply and feed each other and create beautiful art. So I wanted to end with a poem that hopefully celebrates what is Middle Eastern, what is Lebanese, what is Armenian, and not just the pain of it, but some of the celebrations as well. This is titled Our Customs. It's on page 63. Eat boiled wheat and pomegranate seeds to celebrate a baby's new tooth. Announce sweet bathwater to a newly bathed person, and they must give you their clean cheek to kiss. This is lucky and good. This makes God happy. Read your fortune in the dark maps left behind in coffee cups, and believe it, but don't bet on it. Name your daughter or son Revenge. This is not a metaphor. This means they will put fear into their enemies, the devil, and their own children. Throw a raw egg at the tire of a brand new car, but don't wash it off, for that will cause a tragic accident. It happened to my uncle. When you announce travel plans, end with Inshallah, and always follow praise with a criticism, especially with those you love the most. If your palms itch, this is a sign of money coming to you. This is not a rash, but an invitation by God to buy a lottery ticket. Blue glass eyes ward off evil, so hang one from your rear view mirror and pin it on a newborn baby. If they break, a tragedy has been avoided. And when you spot a new moon, laugh out loud. That's God smiling down at you. And it would be rude to not smile back. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Armine. That was beautiful. The next poet is Rafi Jo Vartanian. Rafi is a writer, musician, and educator who teaches writing at UCLA and served as the inaugural poet laureate of Glendale, California. His essays and poetry have appeared in numerous publications, and he has taught writing to veterans, incarcerated youth, and university students. A recipient of grants and fellowships from organizations including the Fulbright Program, he is also an accomplished composer and multi-instrumentalist whose music has been performed internationally. Vartanian is the founder of Letters for Peace and serves on the advisory board of the International Armenian Literary Alliance. Rafi?
Thank you. Thank you, Shahe. Thank you, Olivia, Hofsep, Naidi, Gassia, Armine, Tina, Arthur, Ada, everyone who's here, everyone who made this incredible project possible. It's really been such an honor to contribute, to be part of this conversation. I think we were all inspired by so much art and cultural inheritance that came before this book, and hopefully this incredible book, which was so aptly described to be mothered by Gassia, indeed, that this book can contribute, and be worthy of that incredible legacy. And it's just really wonderful to be here with all of you. I just want to share two poems from the book. And the first one is about my grandmother. Here she is. We lost her in November, but she was born in 1931 in a refugee camp of Armenian genocide survivors. And I was very privileged to have her in my life for essentially until November. So we were very, very close. I love her very much. Her name is Kanari Balamian Korukyan, and she, left a deep impression on me in many ways. And this poem is about just a little moment that we had together. We were just sitting around talking about. My mom was sharing a dream that she had. So this is on page 65 of the book. And basically, we're sitting around, and my grandfather had just passed away in 2001. So I think it was about like 10 years approximately after that. And, we talk about how we kind of visit each other in our dreams. And so it was me, my mom, and my grandmother. This poem is just sort of a snapshot of that moment. It's called Mama's Dream. My mother told my grandmother and me about a dream she had last night. Her deceased father visited and said, "Have you forgotten me?" "No, I didn't," my mother protested in her dream. My mother is silent. Well, what happened next? I ask. That's it, she says with a shrug. Then my grandmother inquires, did he ask about me? My grandmother's always such a curious, inquisitive person, and she always really encouraged me to write in Armenian and to practice reading in Armenian, which was always a struggle for me. But I'm so glad she did that, and um, I'm often thinking about what that means. And so the next poem I want to read is also dedicated to her, and it is a poem in Armenian with the translation that I'll also read. So this is page 52 to 53. And this one is about my father's garden, and it's called Bardeza. So I'll read it in Armenian, and then I will read the translation. Pages 52 to 53. Bardeza. Հայգ նահաբեդին Բարդեզեն դուրս, լեզուս թաղեցի հորս Բարդեզին մեջ, որբեսի ուժ դա փնության, որովհետև հոգիս լրութենեն ալ հուսահատ է, անհույս է որբես սպյուրք, որբես ինքնաօդար, որբես հոգի ու վգա եւ աքսորի զավակ, բادرազմը եւ ողբերգությունը կգոչվի այդ երես լզողները ու ծնողքս իրենց հաջույքը կբահեն մեծ մորս քրբանին մեջ, Յանի սաբրսыз մոնամի, այս կյանքը բնական չէ, որովհետև ան կձաղգի կմախկի մը գողեն, այն քերեզմանադան մեջ ուր կֆրֆրա հովը, Թուրքիո, Հայաստանի, ապա Ռուսաստանի հովը, Ամերիկայի, Չինաստանի, Ուրուգվայի հովը, նահատակներուն հովը, զոհերուն, երկիչին եւ արհեստավորին հովը, Փերնետ փրծված լեզուն ընկղմեցավ մելանին մեջ, ուր գրծավ պատմական նյութեր գրել, Ձովապին ավազներուն վրա, թարերու ընթացքին, դարիներով, օրերով, մրջուններով, թուրքչե դիլինդե, են ֆրանսեզ, արաբերենով. The Garden. Outside Haig Nahabed's garden, and let me just say, I wrote this first in Armenian and then translated it into English. Outside Haig Nahabed's garden, I buried my tongue inside my father's garden to give nature strength because my soul in silence has grown hopeless, hopeless as a diasporan, as self-estranged, as a soul and witness and child of exile. War and tragedy are the names we give to those face lickers, and my parents keep their joy in my grandmother's pocket. I mean the impatient one, my love. This life is unnatural, for it blooms from a skeleton in a cemetery where wind blows, from Giligia, then Armenia, Artsak's wind from America, China, Uruguay's wind, the wind of the founders, of victims, of artists, and the wind of roots. The tongue plucked from your mouth, drowned in ink, where it could pen histories on shoreline sands, for days, months, years, centuries, for words. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. Great work, as always. I would like to end with three very short poems from the book that I wrote. Again, thank you, Garcia, for the opportunity to present these beautiful photographs and poems in one bouquet. So the first poem, again, it's as Garcia said, this book contains looking at our past um, and our present life in Los Angeles. So the first poem I'm going to read is called Turkification in Istanbul. It's on page 48. The Byzantine gate to the underground bathhouse looks steamy and calloused. Before we used the rooster knocker, a towel boy with trimmed whiskers held the door for us. He pointed to the dwarf hidden behind the register. I placed coins in her sweaty palm. Are you Jewish? She asked in Turkish. We're Armenians. My wife smiled. The boy placed madras robes on the bench near our feet. I'll take your shoes and polish them. More Turkish. He bowed to remove my dusty wingtips. My grandmother prayed in Armenian, he whispered. but took the words with her when she died. The next poem comes to Los Angeles, and it's about my mother who, towards the end of her life, she battled dementia. And the title of this poem is also is the title of my inaugural book of poetry, History of Forgetfulness. This poem is in the book in Remain in Light, page 98. She might finally forget my name when she's dicing onions on a chopping block. For now, mother can't pinpoint my daughter's birthday. She recites random months like January and August until I remind her it's in July. She forgets to swallow her blood pressure pills, so she leaves church early. After she calms her heart, she drinks Turkish coffee. No one knows why she clips coupons for Campbell's tomato soup. She makes illegal U-turns just to make sure the burner under the pressure cooker is off. She can't sleep at night because when she closes her eyes, she remembers everything. And the final poem is called My Name, and it's on page 78. And this is dedicated to all those Armenian names who give a heart attack to non-Armenians. My name. To the American ear, Shahe is a mistake. It's a crazy consonant malfunction, alphabetic disorder. The boys at Starbucks want to relabel me. Shane, your coffee's ready. Sean, non-fat latte extra foam. It's no use correcting them because in their world, I am wrong and they're right. In their world, Armenian is a typo. It should be American. Computers often recognize me as a verb. Shake, shave, share. Depends who wants to play Scrabble with me that day. My name is Shahe. Shale sounds nice, but it's not my name. In Turkish, Shash means cross-eyed peasant. It's not my name. Shet is the present tense, past tense of shit. It's not my name. Shah almost sounds like a playwright. Shaq sounds like a basketball player. Shame, shame, shame. Not my name. My name is Shahe. It has a powerful connotation of the Shah and a simple hey, like a whisper, like a sigh on a cold winter day, like an end of a poem. Well, as we close today's, as we come to close today's event, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this gathering possible. Thank you to our featured guests and contributors, Gasya Armenian, Tina Demirjian, Arthur Gaidzakian, Armine Inknadosyan, and Rafi Jovartanyan, and all the artists and writers whose work filled the pages of Remain in Light, Visions of Homeland and Diaspora, with such beauty, honesty, and emotional depth. Thank you as well to our partners at the National Association of Armenian Studies and Research and the Krikor and Clara Zora Information Center, to the Fowler Museum at UCLA for co-sponsoring the event, and to all of you who joined us today in support of Armenian literature, art, and storytelling. I would like to extend a special thanks to Olivia Katrangian, founder and president of International Armenian Literary Alliance, and Hovsep Markaryan, executive director of YALA, for their relentless support, guidance, and dedication to creating spaces where Armenian literature and voices can continue to flourish. Before we conclude, I'd also like to remind everyone about some of our upcoming programming from the International Armenian Literary Alliance. Our next workshop in the Sarkisian Workshop series is Nature, Poetry, and Environmental Collapse with Mohab Soliman. It will take place on May 31st. We are also excited to share that our grants in translation and creative writing, this year's focus is poetry. They've officially been announced and are detailed on our website. For those who like to revisit today's discussion or share it with others, a recording of this event will be uploaded to our YouTube channel in the near future. Thank you again for spending part of your day with us. We hope today's conversations and readings continue to resonate with you long after we leave this room. Wishing everyone a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you at future Literary Lights events. Goodbye, everyone.